Hey everybody, how we doing? Today is Tuesday the 7th, maybe Wednesday the 8th, maybe even Thursday the 9th, depending if you're still getting a late start here. Let's take a look at what we are doing is the analyzing argument. This is our learning check over writing about the arguments that were presented in two speeches, in two inaugural speeches. Last week, you read Lincoln's second inaugural speech. This was at the end of the Civil War. We talked about what he was doing. And then you picked Monday, you were to pick another president speech to be looking at. And then we're going to be comparing those. Now, the big thing that we want to think about here is the argument here is we're looking at our argument is which was better, right? But we're looking at who made a better argument in their speech. So we're kind of arguing arguments, right, if you will. When we look at this, and I'll pull up the sheet right here. Okay. This is something you're going to do a lot of, in other classes and throughout your life, whatever, it's, I got to make a decision, right? But why and how did you make that decision? And what might you be looking at when you are looking at these speeches, right? Because that's the real key. We have to understand what it is you're looking at so you can see if you made a good decision or not. So we're looking at, like, what was the message overall? Was it a good message? Did they really provide a lot of good information, good argument, right? Was it constructed in a way? Was that argument built in a way that really helps get it across? What were the examples? Did the examples really help you see it? Or what about the tone? Did they strike the right tone for what they were trying to do? Those are just some examples of what you'd be looking at. You can look at a lot of different things, but the idea is that there's no right or wrong answer. But the idea is that you state clearly which one had a better argument and then why. Why do you feel that they did the work better? Now, we did provide some pre-writing and some outlines for you to get you started. Those are not graded parts of the assignment, but they are there to help you get your stuff organized and that you can do the work better and stronger. This is not a spiel writing. This is, we're going to give you the outline. There's some specifics that we want you to do. There's kind of a structure we would like for you to follow, but this is not a spiel writing, right? But it's similar, but it's not that. The idea of the spiel does still apply. That is that you have a very strong, clearly worded, emphatic argument, and that you back that up with quotes and examples from the speeches, and that you explain how those prove your point. We can take a look at the pre-writing. Again, this is ungraded. This is not part of the assignment. It's just there to help you organize your thoughts. What was the second speech? Everyone is using Lincoln's second inaugural speech. What was the second one that you chose? And then which of the two do you think did it better? We would like to see some things that Lincoln did well, and then things that were strong in the second one that you selected. And then a weakness for both, okay? A weakness in Lincoln and a weakness in the second one that you did. Now, again, this just helps you start to pre-write, gather your ideas so you know what you're going to be writing. Then we got the outline. The outline here, because it is kind of structured of what we would like to see, and we've got very specific points we want you to do. So this outline really is going to show you not just what to write, but how to write it, in what order, make sure that you have all the pieces. This outline here, literally, if you were to go back and look at your final version, if you can't plug these into certain numbers here, you probably haven't completed it yet. So because everybody is reading Lincoln's speech, I gave this first line to you. You can literally copy this, paste it right into your paper, right? In 1980, I'm sorry. Wow, that's a pretty wrong number there. That should be 1865. Change that on yours. Lincoln delivered his second inaugural speech. You can use that line in yours, okay? If you want to add to it or whatever, that's fine. And then in a sentence or two, what was the summary of that? How would you summarize that in one or two sentences? And then we want you to do the same with the second one. In whatever year, President whoever delivered his inaugural speech. And then in a sentence or two, summarize what they said in that speech. Now, number 5. So, and again, all these, when you see the all caps, that's the part you're going to fill in, right? In sentence 5, because again, this is the point where you're going to turn and you're going to state what you believe. You just have to fill in the all caps pieces. I believe that whichever president gave a better speech because, bam. Now, we're going to explain that more in just a minute. So this is like your first one hit big take. What was like the one thing that made it a better speech? Number 6 and number 7. So, and again, right now you're like 6 and 7 or 8 and 9 sentences in, right? Like, this is kind of where we're at. I want 2 quotes from that. Now, they could be multi-sentence quotes. They do need to be separate. So don't take like 2 sentences that are back to back. A quote is this and a quote is this. No, they have to be from different parts of the speeches, right? That explain some different ones. And then number 8. So now you're at either sentence 8 and 9, or you're like 9, 10 and 11, wherever you are, and how many have you written. An explanation in 2 sentences why those quotes prove that that's a better speech. And then you're going to put your answer right here. Now, I've given you an example here. Okay, I've given you an example. In 1861, Lincoln gave his first inaugural speech as the nation's 16th president. Notice we're all going to do the second inaugural speech, but because I didn't want you just copying all my information, I used his first speech. In it, he struck a conciliatory tone as he addressed the South as it moved to secede from the United States and form the Confederate States of America. In 1789, George Washington, our first president, gave his inaugural speech. His speech was humble and gracious, recognizing the great weight that being selected president placed on him. Now, remember, Monday I said that you could pick. I gave you presidents to pick. I said you could pick another one if you wanted to, but you couldn't pick Washington. This is why right here. Between the two, I would say that Lincoln's speech was the better one because his message was more necessary and meaningful. In his speech, Lincoln said, "The central idea of secession is the essence of anarchy." He also said, "We denounce the lawless invasion by armed forces of the soil of any state or territory, no matter what pretext, as among the gravest of crimes." Clearly, he is taking bold positions and showing great bravery in the face of a tremendous challenge. He has also clearly stated his intention to defend the Union against any and all threats. All right, so again, this example, this is like a roadmap for you. The outline explains all the things that you have to have. And if you can literally go through and you can take these numbers and we could find all those numbers right here, right? Like here's sentence 1 and here's number 2. Whoops. Here's number 2 and here's number 3 and here's number 4. Here's number 5. Okay. You could clearly see the progression through the outline. So you're just fill in that outline, then just take those sentences and make them into one paragraph. You might have to finesse a little bit, but really you're just chug, 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 plug and chug. Okay. All right. So as you are working on this, we do want to have this done by the 9th of March. That's Thursday. This will go on the 4th quarter. And something to think about is that this will go in as a assessment on the 4th quarter. That's a big grade that's going to sit there for a while. There's going to be some things that go in, but they're not going to really move that. So you really want to make sure that you do this well, that this is a really strong writing. We've given you a lot of support pieces to help you with that. So as you are working on this, please make sure that you're doing some of your finest work because we want to see you be successful. And again, this is going to sit there for a while. If you have any questions, please make sure you're reaching out to Ms. McGuire. Good luck, everybody.